All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Atheniano Show. So great to have you, where each episode is a new ripple containing unknown but unlimited impact. Today's episode is going to be fun, short, and enjoyable as we near one, sorry, as we near 3,000 total watch hours, which is the first stage of monetization. So if you're supporting this channel, if you supported this channel, thank you so much for your support. It means the world. So we're going to get into Aesop Fables. How it's going to work is I'm going to turn to a random fable in this big book, and then we're going to talk about it. And we may do two, we may do three, depending on time. But that's how it's going to work. I don't know which fable I'm going to get in advance. And for those of you who do not know who Aesop is, according to Aristotle, he is a former slave born in Samos that later freed himself and wrote a ton of fables, which are basically small fiction stories with a moral message or meaning. Now I'm just getting a message that my battery is low. So probably only do two max, but let's see if we can get two done. So I'm going to flip to a random page. Again, I cannot see it. I'm not looking. And then I'm just going to arbitrarily say stop. And I'm going to show you guys this. Again, I haven't seen it. You guys have seen it before me. So now I'm going to look at it. The aging lion and the fox. So let's read it. A lion who was getting old and could no longer obtain his food by force decided that he must resort to trickery instead. So he retired to a cave and lay down pretending to be ill. Thus, whenever any animals came to his cave to visit him, he ate them all as they appeared. When many animals had disappeared, a fox figured out what was happening. He went to see the lion, but stood at a safe distance outside the cave, and asked him how he was. "Oh, not very well," said the lion, "but why don't you come in?" But the fox said, "I would come inside if I hadn't seen that a lot of footprints are pointing inwards toward your cave, but none are pointing out." So, the moral of the story is don't rush into things. Take your time, assess the situation, and know that, we shouldn't blindly follow instructions, right? The idea is the lion tells people to come into the cave. They don't know what it is. They listen to him, and then he eats them because they get too close. And so the idea is most of these people are sheep, right? Most of society, or many people in society, are sheepish, are like sheep. They just blindly follow directions. They are like all the other animals in this story who just come prancing in, waiting for the lion to come and take them. But the fox is the outlier. The fox is the outlier. The fox says, "No, I'm not going to be sheepish. I'm not going to be sheepish. I'm going to assess the situation. I'm going to figure out what you're doing. And I'm going to look for all the clues." Because ultimately, right, when something is the truth, there's always going to be a way to uncover it, right? When somebody is lying to you, there's always going to be a way to tell. There's always going to leave some sort of trace. And just like the fox could see by the footprints that they had only gone in, but none had come out, and therefore he knew the lion's trickery, well, there's always going to be traces when people are deceiving you and lying to you. And I think you can take this message and apply it to society as well, between, civilians and those that rule above you, right? If we think about political power and those that have political power over us, and when they tell us or they tell civilians or the population what to do, right? Well, often the instructions they give us are not always accurate, particularly in oppressive regimes. They lie to you outrightly, hoping that you sheepishly follow what they do. And although they're not eating you, they're taking advantage of you. They're exploiting you, just as the lion is exploiting the other animals that act sheepish. And so we have to be in society the fox. That when people in authority, like the government, like people in power, tell us things, we have to stop and take notice of what is happening. And if something smells funny, like it smelled funny to the fox, we have to sniff out the problems and the errors and be careful not to follow blindly into the cave. And so that's the moral of the story. Be vigilant, be attentive, and don't follow blindly into the cave like the fox. Don't follow blindly the orders of others, because if they are deceiving you, if they are lying to you, there will be proof. Nobody can hide a lie forever. Remember that. Nobody can hide a lie forever. So we have to be foxes. Foxes in the night. Foxes in society. Or rather, wolves in society, right? Not sheep, but wolves. Detecting the traces, being clever, understanding the way things are working around us, and uncovering those lies, because they will be there. And not only that, their traces will be there. And so that's the message of this fable. Be wise, be clever, be attentive, and do not be sheepish. All right, I had a lot of fun with that one. Let's turn to another. What do you say? Let's try to get one in before my computer dies. Okay. Turn to a random page. We're going to go an early one over here. Oops. All right. I don't know if you guys saw that. This is 37. I'm going to pick the top one. The Fox and the Leopard. Okay. The fox and the leopard were having a beauty contest. The leopard boasted constantly about the marvelous variety of his coat. The fox replied, "How much more beautiful I am than you, for I am varied not merely in my body, but in my soul." So here we have another one about a fox, and the fox is the clever one, as foxes are. And so this is actually quite a comical thing, because the fox and the leopard are having a beauty contest. And the leopard has this fancy coat and is saying, "Look what kind of a coat I have. Look at how, sexy or beautiful I am because of my coat." And the fox, remember, the fox is other smart animals. They could care less about their outward beauty. But he says, "How much more beautiful I am, for I am very not merely in my body, but in my soul." And it's a reminder, right, that outward beauty is one thing. Outward beauty gets you one place. But if you're smart and clever and beautiful in your soul, that gets you so much further in life. We can think about coming back to our, extracting the analogy to society. Who are the leopards in society, right? Comment below. Who are the leopards? Who are the ones that show off their coats and their outward beauty? And who are the foxes who don't need to show off their outward beauty because their intellect, their smartness, their soul, their brains are the things they really care about and the things that show? Who are they in society? Help me with this analogy. And don't get me wrong, because what the fox says here is really interesting. He says, "For I am very not merely in my body, but in my soul." So it's not that, bodily beauty or physical beauty is not important, right? That's important for the fox too. But it's important not to conflate bodily beauty with soul or psychological beauty. And so that's the lesson in this. Since 38 was on the same page, I think we're going to do that one as well. Another fox one. The fox and the monkey elected king. Ooh. The monkey, having danced in an assembly of the animals and earned their approval, was elected by them to be king. The fox was jealous, so seeing a piece of meat one day in a snare, he led the monkey to it, saying that he had found a treasure. But rather than take it for himself, he had kept guard over it, as its possession was surely a prerogative of royalty. The fox then urged him to take it. The monkey approached it, taking no care, and was caught in the trap. When he accused the fox of luring him into the trap, the fox replied, "Monkey, you want to reign over all the animals, but look what a fool you are." This is actually quite similar to the first one, right? Because again, the fox has the wits, and the monkey is the one who wants to be powerful and beautiful, or not powerful and beautiful, but powerful and rule over everybody else, just de facto, but without thinking, without being clever and smart. And so he walks blindly into this trap, just as the animals walked blindly into the lion's cave, right? He thinks, oh, this treasure that this person is that I'm seeing, this person is telling me to get, I must take it, I must have it for my symbol of power. But it's a trap. It's a trap, and he doesn't think it through, and he's not clever like the fox. Now, another piece of this is the dangers of valuing material possessions too much, right? Because when we value material possessions more than cleverness, and see material possessions as a substitute for cleverness, a substitute for intelligence, a substitute for thinking, then we run into trouble, right? If we think, oh, look, I have X amount of dollars. Oh, I have X fancy car, X fancy watch, X fancy title. I must be important. I must be smart. No, because no amount of material possession, as we learned from 37, the fox and the leopard, no amount of material possession can account for your smartness or can substitute for your ability to think, be wise, and clever. And ultimately, those who are clever and wise and good at thinking will always outpace those who rely on material possessions in substitute of that. And so that's the lesson of this one. All right, that's all I'm going to do. I think 3 is a good number. I think we got a lot done. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Some important news for the podcast. Number 1, we're on TikTok. So please follow on TikTok, link in the bio. Number 2, I've started a Telegram channel. That will also be in the link in bio, where I'll post kind of news stories from the world that are not necessarily talked about as much on quote unquote mainstream media. And then the third order of business is we are super close to the first stage of monetization, as I mentioned. And we also close, in another note, to 1,000 subscribers. So please subscribe if you haven't already and share it with others. But we're like probably hours or days away from reaching that first stage, which means merch will be launching very soon. And it also means that if you want to support this channel, you can do so directly to the super thank you button, where you can contribute anything you want to the show. That money will go directly into the show to help me produce more content, bolster my audience, and grow to do more episodes, reach more people, and continue to do this at a more frequent pace. It would be super helpful. I'd really appreciate it. And, we're going to keep doing this regardless, but your support would be super helpful in helping me expand the base. So thank you so much for the existing support. Thank you so much into advance. Remember, merch is out soon. Keep creating the ripples, keep quieting the waves, and peace out, guys. I am so appreciative of you, and thank you so much. All right, that's all from me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and peace.